Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Superhuman Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Dr. Matt Accurso, and I just want to tell you how thankful I am to have you on today with my very special guest. I want to take a moment to thank all of you out there for the amazing tweets, the texts, the calls, everything else related to the new book I have coming out called Superhuman Entrepreneur. Some of you showed up for the book signing in New York City, and it just blew me away. I almost fainted. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Speaking of NYC, we have a superhuman entrepreneur right off the streets of New York City today. If you think balancing time is difficult, try throwing in 70 hours of medical school per week, or maybe sometimes even more. Our guest does it all with a seemingly effortless air to him. Check him out on Instagram, training puppy dogs, petting elephants, skydiving, and then automatically feel inferior for your boring life. All kidding aside, I was convicted. I need to pet more elephants, by the way. But he's a fourth-year medical student at Toro College of Osteopathic Medicine in New York City. He's from Miami, Florida. He did his undergraduate at University of Florida, where he also was the captain of the men's volleyball team. So right there, him and I have the same hometown, love the same schools. I mean, it's all coming together here. He's an entrepreneur and an avid traveler. He's been to over now 28 countries. He plans to visit every continent by the time he's 30. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the show, Jay Feldman. Jay, how you doing?
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm doing awesome. I'm here in New York City. Again, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm a fellow Florida native. Love to hear it. 70 hours a week, very generous.
Yeah, man. Congrats, by the way, for being in the fourth year. And I feel like this show should just be Dr. Feldman. I need to leave the J out.
Oh man, my friends keep doing that, put in the doctor in front of me. One more year. Just gonna take it off and do it right. Gotta earn it like everyone else.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. One thing I love about you, Jay, is how you have such a confidence in life about you. Whatever you do it with all of you, and it's clear to see that, whether you're with family, whether you're with friends. I love your Instagram page, by the way. It's just full of this love and passion and professionalism. So no doubt you're doing big things in the world. Talk a little bit about your story. Like, what made you want, because you run a business and now you're in medical school. What got you on this journey? Why are you passionate about being in medicine? And what made you start the business that you're in?
Yes. I'm happy to talk about that. And I guess it kind of goes back to when I was in high school. People think entrepreneurs and people have this drive day one. And, it's definitely not always been like this. You talk to people that I went to high school with, people that knew me back in the day, and you said, fast forward like 15 years, you're going to be here. They would not have believed you. When I was in high school, I was like a C/D student. I was focused totally on my social life and volleyball. Volleyball has always been a huge passion.
Yeah.
But senior year of high school was kind of the turning point. I was actually arrested. That was kind of a huge shock and awe moment in my life.
Wow.
My dad was laid off from his job. We had to move. They ended up getting divorced. That all happened during my senior year. And then
so you were what, like around 18?
It was just before my birthday.
Okay.
A month or two before when I was arrested, and all of that happened.
wow.
And that was kind of the turning point. And I didn't actually start at University of Florida. I transferred there after 2 years at Florida Gulf Coast University. Have you even heard of that school? I
have, yes. I know people actually doing that as well, transferring like that.
Yeah. It was an easy school to get into. They took me with the arrest on my record, and that was the point of my life where I'm just like, you know what? I got something to prove to myself. I got something to prove to my family. And I did. Yeah. I buckled down. I fell in love with medicine. I was a straight A student for 2 years there. Joined a fraternity. I worked in the emergency room for like 30 hours a week, shadowing doctors, learning as much as I could. And 2 years later, I transferred to University of Florida, and that's where I kind of flourished. I stayed on the pre-med track. I worked my ass off in the hospital there as an emergency room scribe. Yeah. Took my medical school admissions tests, did really, really well. And then at that point, I took a year off. And like you, I love to travel. Traveling is, I think, one of the best things that everyone can do to round themselves off as a human being. It's closing yourself.
I agree.
Yeah. But we took 2 months, went to Europe. Came back, and I took a year off from school. I lived with my best friend at the time, Jesse Henry, at Florida State University, and he was the president of the entrepreneurship club there. And that's kind of, I guess, the first person that I owe it all to.
Shout out to Jesse.
Shout out to Jesse Henry right now. Watch this, I'm sure. Yeah, he kind of guided me through everything. We found out what my skills were, which was science, obviously, writing. So I started taking on clients in marketing. I used to wake up at 6 a.m. every day and put business cards on people's cars before they left for class. Tutoring services, writing services.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, eventually the clients started to come with all of that marketing. I didn't know anything about digital marketing at the time. It was just kind of flyers and business cards on people's cars.
Wow.
And yeah, I was tutoring and writing papers all day, every day. And eventually Jesse's like, listen, you need to outsource some of this stuff. You need to hire some people and, focus on the clients. This is a business now. You have a business. So that's what it was. It was, it was called the Tutor Chief, and we tutored and we helped people with their personal statements, visions. And that was the first big business, and it's still continuing to this day. I managed it myself for about a year. And, that's kind of when the entrepreneur switch clicked in my brain. I just kind of happened out of necessity. I was just trying to make money as a freelancer, and then realized that I had this other thing in me, and, worked my ass off on this thing. It became my baby, it became my new thing. I'm sure business.
Absolutely.
Once you get something off the ground and growing like that, it's like a child.
It is.
You love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You pour yourself into it. That's what they say about, the standard person. Not to say there's anything wrong with, holding a job and not necessarily starting your own business. But then on the other side of things, there's the entrepreneur side of things, which I truly believe that all human beings have an entrepreneur element to them. Some have it stronger than others, right? But we're all creative. We all have this eclectic ability to go out and make something happen and make something real and change the world ultimately. And I love your story so far. I mean, it's amazing what you've been through. I didn't realize that about you. I want to go back to that time, because I think this is important for all of us to hear. Go back to that time where you got arrested, your parents got divorced. It's very easy in our lives to label ourselves as something, especially when challenges happen, because then it gets into our nervous system that we are that person and will never change. We're never going to be able to get past that person. What did you do in your head? I mean, obviously you pulled the belt straps up and you made it happen. And now you're a successful med student. You're almost done with medical school. You're going to have your own practice one day. Coming from getting arrested and the challenges you face to this now, was there a switch in your head that happened that made you think, you know what? I'm not a product of all that stuff. I'm more than that. What happened there?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just labeling yourself. It's like when something like that happens, you get labeled by everybody, your family, friends, and people start to give up on you. And that's definitely, I guess, the turning point when one of two things can happen. You can either get your shit together, pull the belt straps up, like you said, or you can fall under that label and let it define you.
Yeah.
And that was never me. I mean, thank God that it was the first and not the latter of those things. And I think it's all the better for it. It's things like that shape you into who you are. And as horrible as that whole experience was, I think in the end, you become grateful for it because it led to this.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? It's always crazy to me how, those things, as horrible as they were, like you said, was the path. It paved that way for you to be here today. I think it's fascinating. Did you have something that you would think about, something that would drive you? Like, I mean, at that time, were you thinking, hey, I want to be in medical school, so I got to clean up my act? Or were you just thinking, I'm never going to do that again because I was so miserable?
Well, yeah. I mean, more the second one. And also when that happened, I went to work for my dad's new company. He was working for a trucking company. And I was a collections agent for 2 months, sitting at a desk, cold calling companies that, well, not cold calling, but asking for money from them. And I don't know if you ever had a job like that. That'll scare you.
The realism. I've had jobs like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think working at a job like that too, that thought, that's still been in my mind. Sitting in calls for, $8 an hour.
I remember doing carpentry work when I was in my teens. And basically my mom actually was like, you're going to get a job and this is what you're going to do. And a guy was willing to hire this little teenager. I remember doing that for a straight year and thinking, I never want to go back to this again. I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay away from it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that you're right. There's nothing like an experience like that to make you think, right?
Yep, definitely.
So I want to talk about, now you've gone from challenge. Now you're living your purpose. Are there people that you're intentional about surrounding yourself with to lift you up, to speak positivity in your life? And are there, and you can say those people, you cannot say those people, but then is there the opposite as well? Are there people that you had to separate from in order to really fulfill your dreams?
So yeah, both of those things. And I think for anyone listening, that's I think one of the most important things you can do as a person, especially growing up, is surround yourself with like-minded people that are going to be a positive influence. Going back to Jesse Henry, he did a TED talk on filling other people's buckets. Like there's plenty of water. If you take from other people's buckets, you're just kind of hurting everyone. But if you fill everyone's buckets, everyone benefits. And I know I'm not explaining that as well as he does, but it's the principle of having good people around you, having productive people around you, people that are gonna keep you motivated, gonna tell you to work instead of go drinking. And the opposite of that, the people that are holding you back, the people that are, negative, with not really with the aspirations that you have, and the bigger your dreams and the harder you work, the more people that are going to be on the other side trying to tell you can't do it, telling you those dreams aren't a reality, making fun of you for putting yourself out there on Instagram and trying to, make something of yourself and do something with what you are. So yeah, those people, I think you definitely have to X out of your life as soon as possible. They're just going to.
Yeah. There's a mentor of mine that calls it, it's interesting. You have that bucket methodology that you were talking about. And a mentor of mine talks about crabs in a bucket, that oftentimes the people you used to roll with a while back are some of the ones that try to grab you and pull you back down. So when you're trying to get out, when you're starting to become great, sometimes people don't like that. They don't like that feeling. It makes people feel inferior, at least the ones that are not looking at it from a healthy perspective. Yeah. And I think that's so huge what you're saying, because, in order to climb out, in order to be great, in order to keep excelling and learning and growing, you have to tune it out. And obviously you're doing that. You're doing it on Instagram in amazing ways. You're doing it in your business. You're doing it in school. Let's talk about your morning. A lot of people love to hear about morning routines. You obviously have a packed schedule, medical school, business, relationships, all that stuff. What is do you live in the heart of New York City?
I do.
Okay. Awesome, man. Yeah. I got to come see you next time I'm up. I love it in that area. So what does that look like for you? Are you an early riser?
I've become an early riser over the years. Wasn't always like, but now it's 6, 7 a.m. When I have something going on, it's usually 6 a.m. And I guess going into the morning routine, I guess that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Right downstairs, we have a Fairway and a juice place. I used to make my own juice, but every morning I get a juice. I need my juice. I do my stretching, obviously the normal stuff. I'm not a morning shower or anything. I walk the dog. Honestly, I think the best part about getting the dog is in the morning. You wake up and he's just on your bed. He spreads out, yawns, and you take him out for a walk. It's just like a great way to start your day. I take him for a walk. I get my juice, and then I start working. Yeah. Immediately. I usually don't eat breakfast for a few hours. I don't know if that's considered intermittent fasting because I have my juice, but the juice holds me over, and I think it's a powerful way to start your morning. I've never been a morning gym guy. Always wanted to be.
It's funny. I used to be hardcore when I was running a clinic full time in Nashville. I used to be, and now I'm more of an afternoon guy. I love afternoons. I love paddleboarding in the afternoons. It's like something that I do often now. But I totally see what you mean with the dog and everything as well, because now more of my morning than anything is relaxing, meditation, being at peace with the silence. I love silence now. And like, it's a very special time for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I was getting into meditation before I got the puppy. The puppy ruined the meditation. Can't get peace. But I think I still do plan to get back into it. I love the research on it. I think the walk is a type of meditative thing, especially just for clearing your head with the dog.
Yeah.
Just that 10 minutes in the morning where you don't think about work or stress.
Yep. So key. Yeah. Do you ever hit Central Park or anything like that?
Yeah, not every day. We're not too close. We have our own park right by, but yeah, we love Central Park. Moses loves it. All the people love Moses.
How could you not? He's adorable. I mean, if anybody wants to see Moses, he's probably handling his business right now.
He's coming.
He's coming. Okay. But Moses has got his own intros on Instagram as well. Look at that. I mean, just handsome. Yeah. Moses has probably got a lot of ladies around town in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, adorable. But he's already popular on Instagram. Look how relaxed he looks. He's just so chill. He's like you, Jay. He's like you, man. He's like father, like son.
They say the dogs are the replicas of the people. You see them walking down the street and they're the same. I like to think me and Moses are the same.
Absolutely. I love his face. He's so regal,
Oh, he is. He got a nice fluffy face.
He does. I
got lucky with him.
So I want to just continuing on that. So you have your juice, you take Moses for a walk. Is there any supplements? Like, are you into any supplements right now? Do you kind of stay away from supplements? What's your take on that?
Vitamin supplements. I actually have a pill case, a Monday through Friday, like old person pill case, and they're filled with vitamin supplements. I have about 6 or 7 things that I take every day. I can go into them. I take a vitamin C pill. I take a vitamin D. I take fish oil. I take a probiotic. I take turmeric. What else is in there? I take zinc, a multivitamin. I think that's it. It might be nice. But yeah, I love the vitamins, the supplements. And, I think they work. I think
right.
They can't be doing anything bad. I feel great every day. I've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's a great thing. Especially
for sure.
Throw in your routine.
Yep, for sure. I don't know if you've ever seen Placebo. It's an actual documentary, and they basically test these things on people. They test, if someone takes a supplement, do they perform better? If someone has a mild surgery, do they perform better? Very interesting documentary. But I know exactly what you're saying about that. There are some supplements that I do really well on. Like I do well on cordyceps. Any mushroom cordyceps supplement, I physically feel like I'm in the zone longer in the morning when I'm trying to work or when I'm trying to study or whatever it is. I definitely feel the effects of it. Things like vitamin D, fish oil, you're right. You're taking it because you're like, well, there's some research out there that says omega-3s are beneficial.
Yeah. Maybe long-term cardiac,
yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, for sure. And that's good, and keeping the immune system high. Obviously, you've been through some tough seasons. You said it's calming down a little bit at med school. You've taken some boards, gotten some flat tires on the way. Give us your best tips right now, techniques when balancing life. Are there certain things that you do? Do you have, like, when it comes to your schedule, do you use Google Calendar? Do you use your phone a lot? And then what does that look like? Are you really structured, like minute by minute? Or are you kind of just like I know with school and all that, you do have to be structured to a point, but when you're living your daily life, are you pretty military about your time?
No, I've never been. I've never been the guy who puts everything in his planner. You have to start, being like that once you get to a point, especially in business, where you have meetings every day and things like that. For that, I do use Google Calendar. I don't know I have a whiteboard. It just came in yesterday. Every place I've ever lived, I had a big old whiteboard, and that's kind of how I live my life. I've got my notes on my phone, my reminders. I've got my notes on my computer, and then when things need to get done every week, they go on the whiteboard, and I cross them off as I go along.
Nice.
I wish I was more organized, with the planners and stuff. But, my biggest piece of advice is surround yourself with what you need to do, and learn how to hold yourself to the things that you say you're going to do. And there's no real way to do that. I mean, I've seen apps with incentives and things that, like, you know, you have to donate $1 for every time you don't complete a task or something like that.
Yeah.
No one has a perfect way to hold yourself accountable for the things that you should do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
On you.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you obviously from the lifestyle you live and what you portray to people online, you stay healthy, you stay fit. You know, talk a little bit about how you stay in shape and what your diet looks like right now.
So let's see, staying in shape. I've been going to the gym every day since high school.
Okay. You're a gym guy. So you get in there afternoons?
Late afternoon usually. I go with my 2 roommates, Ben and Adam, who are also 4th-year medical students with me, and my best friends.
Cool.
So having a good gym buddy to motivate you not only to go there, but to, push harder, lift more weights. I think that's a lot. So we go probably 4 or 5 times a week now, mostly heavy lifting. And as far as cardio, I hate running on the treadmill. Wish I liked it. Wish I liked jogging outside. It's way too hot.
Yeah.
Basketball. I think if you can
nice.
get it into a sport, we've got an awesome basketball court right next door, right outside.
Awesome.
We love doing that, running around, playing ball.
Yeah. So you try to make that part of your regimen each week?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's important, keeping it fun, right? Staying fit can be fun. You can still get ripped. You can still do all that stuff and change it up. Definitely. When you're in the gym, you work out with these other 2 guys. Are you guys doing high intensity stuff? Like you said, heavy. So you're focusing on like the 6 to 8 repetition type stuff?
Yeah, usually 6 to 8 reps, 3 or 4 sets. We usually do maybe 3 or 4 exercises per muscle group. We'll do 1 month, bis, tris, chest tri, back bi, shoulders, legs, and then a month later we'll switch it up, the muscle confusion theory, and do some push pull, do some body weight stuff, and it keeps it fun, it keeps it interesting. Fitness has always been a huge thing for me, and an outlet for all the stress. I mean, studying and stuff. It's another place to clear your head. You go in there and there's just the weights and your friends and.
What would you say to someone? What would you say to someone that's in that position right now where they're maybe in medical school or running a business, raising kids, just living life and having all these things and going after their dream? What's been some key things that you've learned to keep you afloat, to keep you sharp, to keep you on track and not to keep you from burning out?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, like I just said, is the outlets. You need those moments of clarity, of just, clearing your head, and you need to find the time. The other thing everyone says is, where do you find the time? There's not enough time in the day to do these things. Yes, there is. There absolutely is. I mean, I don't sleep more than 5-6 hours a night. But if you want to do something, you can make it work. You can cut out the 1 hour binge watch or 2 or 3 hours of binge watching you do every night. You can wake up an hour earlier. You can, speed up your meal prep time, or find a way to eat healthier and cut out some cooking time. There's ways, and I've gotten really good over the years at making my routine efficient. Everything that I do is efficient, so that I do have the time to sit down and work, go to the gym, walk my dog in the morning. You can make it work. You can absolutely make it work. If you sit down and figure out a way to, you can. There's time.
100% agree. I used to do this thing where I had a war plan, called it a war plan, which was literally I mapped out. This is when I was, full into the clinic, and then some school stuff as well. And I remember mapping out really every minute of my day. And I'm not a really structured time person either. I don't like to be, I like to have my freedom. Like when I go on vacations, it's not full of like activities. I like to just relax and hang out. But when I was doing this, I started to see how much time I was wasting, like you're saying, with the binge watching, or maybe even just convincing yourself there's not enough time in the day. And then you start going back and looking at the minutes and you're like, well, I have 3 hours during my week, maybe more, where I could be doing things to work toward my dream, because I think a lot of times we talk about our culture specifically, if you listen to the news and you kind of listen to the mainstream stuff going on, it's like if you have a job and you're operating in that realm, then there's no more time in your day, no more time in your week to actually focus and work on your dream. And that's just not true, like you said.
Yeah.
So I hope everybody out there is hearing that. If you're in that place, just know that this is a 4th-year medical student who's running a very successful business. And if you go on social media, you can see, Jay is posting all these things, and you can kind of see, it's a snapshot of his life. There's obviously a lot more to Jay, but for the most part, you can see that you're balancing very well,
Yeah. And for all the medical students out there, I just want to add, because they say you need to study 12, 14 hours a day year round. There's so much material that they throw at you, especially the school gives you material. Then there's the standardized material that you have to study.
Yep.
I probably studied about a half to 3/4 as much as most people, and I did better than most just by figuring out what material is most important and what to lack. And you don't need to study every piece of paper that's given to you. Just like in life, you don't have to read everything that's given to you. You need to learn how to segment the information that you're taking in. I don't watch the news. I don't watch sports. You need to pick and choose what information you intake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What you value, right, is going to stay on the top of your priority list.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So when it comes to, what you're passionate about as an entrepreneur, as a, to me, it's like you're a doctor. I know you have to get the diploma and you have to do all that other stuff, but it's like that's coming around the corner for you. What is something that you're passionate about as these types of roles that people out there listening could glean from?
Passionate about in terms of like just life?
In terms of life. Like what's something that you're passionate about that entrepreneurs out there listening could benefit from?
I think that my biggest passion is becoming a well-rounded person and trying to find happiness. Traveling is a huge passion. Just things that'll increase your substance as a person, as opposed to, pouring your whole self into medicine, which a lot of people do, and it's admirable and it's great. They spend, all day, every day in the lab, and we need them. But for me, life's about so much more than that. It's about, learning languages and traveling the world and experiencing as much as you can and, setting yourself up for true happiness.
Yep. That's awesome.
Hard to be passionate about more than that.
Yeah. That it's at the end of the day, right? At our core, we're humans who desire love, we desire happiness, we desire all those feelings. And you're exactly right. Operating in that life that's going to drive you more into those things is so important. 100% agree.
Way there. That's the most you can do.
Yeah, that's right. This is an odd question, Jay, and you might have to think about this for a second, but I'm going to throw it at you. If you had one billboard that the entire world could see, what would it say?
One billboard that the entire world could see.
Yeah.
My motto and my mantra for keeping this level of productivity that I like to do is the same they actually told us on the first day of medical school when they were talking with the international medical students, that when you're sleeping and when you're clicking around, the kids over there, they're studying 20 hours a day. They're not sleeping. They want it more than you. And so I think the billboard would say, well, when you're sleeping, the others are trying to take what you have. Work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It reminds me a lot. This reminds me a lot of my athlete days. We tend to think like that. Like when you're not practicing, that guy's practicing.
Yeah.
When you're not training, that guy's training. It's and then
motivating thought when it's really in there and ingrained.
It is. Do you find that you tie a lot of your drive into your athletic days when you used to captain the volleyball team and be involved in volleyball?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was the same type of drive, but just focused differently. I think it's always kind of been there, and it's definitely evolved over the years. But yeah, back in the day, I used to come home and hit the ball against the wall to myself for hours at a time. I built a court in my backyard. It's the same with PVC pipes and
Yeah. Whatever you had.
Yeah, whatever you had, you made it work. I think
Yep.
absolutely, it's related. It's the same. It's evolved, obviously, but yeah, I've always had some kind of a fire, and thank God for it.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. So what creates the most peace in your life?
The most peace in my life.
Hmm.
It's traveling. First of all, it's the thought of the impending trip when I'm doing something really hard. Time with my dog, but more than anything, it's going to that foreign country. It's the excitement of I'm going to work this hard for this many months, and then I get to go, a month abroad and scuba dive and play with elephants.
Yeah,
And if peace in your life, if you want to experience true peace in your life, spend a day with elephants. It
I
was
bet.
absolutely incredible, and those are the thoughts and times that bring me real peace.
Yeah, I love that. I got to do that in Sri Lanka last year. I hosted a retreat out there, and you're exactly right. There is such a peace and a power. It's this amazing peace and power thing with elephants, and then the gentleness
Yeah.
of this massive beast. That could literally crush you in a second, but you're playing with them. It's pretty
Yeah.
neat.
Giving them that, yeah, it's everyone should experience that. That was life changing.
That's cool. What do you like to do in your free time? I know you've talked about some things, but like, what's the one thing, if you could do it all the time, what would you do in your free time? Keep it G-rated. No, I'm kidding. Volleyball?
If I had the choice between that other thing and volleyball, it's volleyball.
I love it. This is definitely a man's show right here. That's awesome. I love it.
Would agree, but yeah, volleyball was always that was my life for one point, and there's nothing that I enjoyed doing more than playing a beach volleyball tournament or going to compete in an indoor tournament. And that's unfortunately been one of the sacrifices I had to make over the past few years of medical school in New York City. But eventually, I would love to get back into it. But that's my favorite pastime, favorite hobby. Whenever I get the chance, I go and play.
Awesome. That's awesome. What was the last habit you formed and why?
So the most recent habit that I formed is, and I like to pick and choose my habits. I did the research. What are entrepreneurs doing in the morning? What can I try and do? And the one that I stuck with was no curtains. Let the sun wake you up at 7 a.m.
Love it.
Yeah, 7, 8 a.m. If you have no curtains and you have big windows, you're not sleeping in, or at least
you're not. No, me neither. 100%, man. I cannot sleep in when there's light coming in, and I'm actually extremely light sensitive. Where there's even sometimes in my hotel where there's the little fire alarm light, I actually have to take electrical tape and cover that stuff because I'll wake up to it.
Oh man,
crazy enough, yeah.
But
yeah.
37 a.m. rolls around and the light starts pouring in. Then I think that's a habit that everyone should do. No curtains. If you want to wake up early, and wake up refreshed to the sun. It's natural. Yeah, I think that's my most recent and best habit.
Yep. Do you, living in New York City the way you do, do you find that you get outside a lot? Like, do you ever get to get your bare feet on the ground or anything like that living in New York City?
That's definitely one of the sacrifices of the city too.
For sure.
Take your feet off from running the grass is when you go to Central Park. I mean, that's it. So I try and do that every week, but sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Moses.
Moses gets it all the time.
I wish I had a backyard and a pool for him. We keep him happy. We go to the dog park every day, and
cool.
He's eating good food. He's a happy dog.
Yeah. Well, when you have houses all over the world, you'll be able to, and you're flying all over the place, you'll be able to ground yourself more, right? What books do you recommend right now? Maybe ones that you're reading now, or ones that you've read before that you could tell our listeners about?
Honestly, the only book that I've read other than medical school textbooks over the past maybe 10 years is audiobooks. But there's one audiobook that I would totally recommend, and I've actually listened to it twice. That's The 5-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Do it yourself.
It's amazing.
A friend recommended it to me, and it blew my mind. I was just like, yes, this is exactly my thought process put into a book with awesome advice. And I need to do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it.
Wanting to break free of the 9 to 5, and this is it.
Yep. There was a gift that I would give whenever I would meet a young entrepreneur and I had the chance to mentor him at all or her, I would send that book. That would be the first gift that I would ever give. It's that powerful. Yeah.
It motivates you just to want to take the next step, if anything else.
Yeah. If you could pick one action step for our listeners to take from you and I's conversation, what would it be?
One action step to take. I think it would be, I think delaying what you want to do in life, because, a better time is coming. You're waiting for something to happen and change, for circumstances to change. Forget all of that. You're always going to find an excuse to delay making those changes. So the action step that I want you to do is sit down right now, and what is the first step that you need to take to make those things happen for yourself, whether it be to, escape the 9-to-5, travel, get back into school. Things are going to change, but there's always going to be obstacles. So do it. Sit down, figure it out, and take the first step right now. That's my biggest piece of advice. And everyone's like, should I wait for this? Should I wait? Like, this is coming soon, like the money. And like, no, whatever it is,
you're right.
Take the steps now.
You're right. One thing we try to convince ourselves as human beings is that we don't ever have enough resources, right? But we have everything at our fingertips right now. We live in an amazing time in history where we can make anything happen that we want, right? It's like, this is it.
All of my 3 companies have been zero overhead companies. They're all services that I've learned to do myself, learned to teach people to do. You can start a business with no money. Whoever said you need, $100,000 to open a business, it's not like that anymore. The internet's made everything possible, and YouTube has made everything possible. I can't tell you the amount of skills I've learned from watching YouTube videos.
So true. True. When I bought my first house way back in the day when I was just going into college, and I fixed my whole house up off YouTube. I watched YouTube videos. Took a backhoe to my front yard, fixed my roof that was leaking. It's crazy. I consider
myself a handy person now, thanks to YouTube.
Thanks, YouTube. There's a plug. So remind me again, Jay, when are you officially graduated?
So I officially graduate next fall. So it's about now. And then I can start calling myself Dr. Feldman.
Well, remind me. We're gonna have our contacts, and I'm gonna put that in my calendar. I'm gonna take you out to dinner. Okay, so on me, that's gonna be a celebration of you and I. That's big. We'll look back on this episode and be like, remember when you were gonna saying you were gonna graduate in fall, and now it's here. It happens like that, right? It's amazing.
The first 3 years happen like that,
don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here, I'm assuming it's gonna go even faster.
Yes, it will. It will. Well, I want to just let you know, man, that I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for how you show up in the world. I'm grateful that you went from that kid who was arrested, going through a divorced home. I've been there, by the way. And you brushed the dust off, and you're changing the world. And so I just want to thank you for stepping up in a way and doing that. And I want to let everybody else out there know, check out Jay Feldman on his Instagram page. Any other websites, Jay, that you could throw out that to people want to learn more about you?
I'm actually in the process of making one right now, but at the moment, no. I think the Instagram page is as much information and motivation as I think.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely inspiring. It's inspiring to me when I saw it, and I will say, this guy's one to watch. Everybody, watch this guy. Watch this space. He's going to do huge things out in the world. I'm a little threatened, actually. He might actually, do things that I'm not able to do. But here's the thing.
Do it together.
Exactly. That's what it's all about. You know what I mean? It's all about lifting each other up, seeing each other do great things. That's why this show exists. That's why Jay's out there doing what he's doing today. So I know that the more you watch him, the more you're going to see what greatness is. So to everybody out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Jay, thanks for being on with us right now.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, man, it really was. To everybody out there, continue to be superhuman. You have no boundaries right now, just so you know. There are no boundaries in your life. Those mountains melt like wax when you can actually see and have a perspective that your purpose on earth is greater than your circumstances. So go rock it. Thank you for spending time with us again. I'll see you all next time.